But Mark Ramsey told me that his English was worse than mine. So he asked Russ Anber, whose French is like my English, to come here to the podium to talk about it.
It's not that bad. Contrary to popular belief, I was not in Yvon Durell's corner when he fought Archie Moore. I want a question out there. I know Ivan Montiel is out there somewhere, so I'd like to throw a lot of questions at him. In the 5 years I was fortunate enough to have in this corner on the air, and both Oscar and Bernard were on it, though likely they don't remember that. I'd like to ask Ivan, who are the two boxers which I would speak most often about on that show?
Bernard Hopkins and Juan Manuel Marquez.
That's exactly correct. So Bernard was one of the most gracious guests we ever had on the show. And unlike other fighters where we would have to prepare a list of 5, 6, 7, 8 questions in order to try to get a 5-minute interview out of them, we have to prepare one for Bernard, and we had 15 minutes of Phil without any problem whatsoever. Yet we've had a wonderful tour the last 2 days in Quebec City and in Montreal, and there's no denying, and I think everyone has said it, and Bernard was the only one who beat me to the punch, because nobody had said about him being a throwback fighter, and I was hoping to say that, and he took it from me. But 10, 15 years ago, maybe even more than that actually, 1993, Otis Grant, my fighter, we were actually on the same card. You fought Roy Ritchie for the USVA title that night. That's right. He fought on our undercard. That's great. Who could say that? Not many people could say that. So that was a thrill as well. There's no denying the legend that is Bernard Hopkins, and many, many years ago, around that time, a late great friend of mine, who some of you boxing guys might remember, named Roy Hamilton, told me that Bernard Hopkins, and this is probably the ultimate compliment that you could pay to anybody, would have been as great in any era of our sport. And I don't think there's a lot of fighters that you can say that about today. And when we use that word throwback, some of you might not actually know what that really means. But we could have taken this gentleman and put him in the ring in the 40s, in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 30s, with the greatest names that come to your mind in the middleweight division. And this man right here would have given them hell. And as a result of that, that's why this man over here has chosen Bernard Hopkins. Jean Pascal, like Bernard said yesterday, Bernard thrives on challenges. Jean Pascal as well thrives on challenges. And I'm not telling you that, I'll just let the record speak for itself. I'm not lying to you, this is just fact. When he took on Carl Froch in England, and those of you who have known, and Steve I know knows this, fighting in England is certainly not as hospitable as Bernard coming to Quebec City, I'll tell you that right away. Jean took on that challenge and faced the crazy soccer mentality crowd in England who was behind Carl Froch. And he grew from that fight. Came back, had a tune-up, and decided to step up and face undefeated Adrian Diacano. At the time, and I don't care what you guys say, all you boxing experts said that was suicide. Moving up in weight class and fighting a murderer like Diacano, who Chad Dawson himself had given up the title rather than face. Based on Diacano's performance against Rico Hoy, Chad Dawson gave up the title rather than face Adrian Diacano. Jean stepped up to that challenge because he's motivated by that kind of challenge. And then, after winning the title, and you know as well as I do in the politics of boxing, and Oscar knows this, and Bernard said it yesterday, the champion could have made his own road. He could have taken this fight, gone here, sat on the sidelines, lived the glory, fought this guy, built up a padded record of 5, 6, 8 title defenses. The nut turns around and says, I want to fight Bernard Hopkins. Out of all the guys you could have picked, out of all the soft pickings you could have taken in the light heavyweight division, which Bernard is right about, the division is a little bit empty, he chooses Bernard. Why? Because he's motivated by the same thing that motivates greatness in Bernard, and that's a challenge. This guy's, he does things which are a little off the wall, I'll give you that, and he drives both Mark and myself nuts, but he does things because he believes he can achieve this. He believes, and he knows fighting a legend, and Brother Nazim is right. We're going to get up in the ring. This is the first time we'll stand across the ring, and there's going to be somebody like a legend. But this guy wants that legend name on his record. He wants to say, I fought Bernard Hopkins. And I beat Bernard Hopkins. Bernard's not going to give that up easily, and we know that. And we know that this fight for us is going to be more than just a battle of skills, a battle of talent or conditioning. We're aware of that. But that's what's going to make this night great. And Dynasty is such an absolutely wonderful name for this. It's going to be such a great performance that night because you have two guys both motivated by the same thing. A challenge in Bernard's case of fighting somebody who beat who was at the time considered by all the experts the number 4 best pound for pound fighter in the world in Chad Dawson. And he takes on that challenge of beating the guy who beat that man. And he's taking on a guy, Jean Pascal is taking on a guy who requires no, we know what he's done. It is legendary. It is truly legendary that this career that Bernard Hopkins has put forth in our era we'll never see again. Never. You won't see that style. You will never see a guy any more than we're going to see a hockey player stay with the same team for his career. You're not going to see a guy stay in the same weight class for as long as he did, because that's dedication. But those are the things that motivate both these guys and make these guys great. And you cannot help but have a great fight when greatness meets. Oscar can testify to that as well. Yvonne mentioned the 3 great fights that have covered our landscape in Canada with Durrell and Moore, and George, of course, here with Ali and Leonard and Duran. But never has a Canadian entered the ring in this country and faced such a great opponent as Bernard while he was holding the title. So this is something that a lot of us might not realize now, and maybe at the time, when George fought Ali and when Leonard and Duran came, they didn't realize the impact or the legacy that those fights would leave. You guys and we all might not realize the greatness that we're part of now. But down the road, as boxing often shows, we will realize the greatness that we were part of and the history that we were part of, that Bernard Hopkins was right here in Quins in a press conference for a great fight that happened in Quebec. And boy, you remember that fight and how great it was, and Oscar was here. That's what we're going to remember, the greatness of that fight. So I'm looking forward to this. They've done a great job. And when you have 2 professionals, this is what you get. You get a professional performance, and you get professional people working together. They've acknowledged that with Yvonne. And of course, Yvonne has undoubtedly mentioned that as well with Golden Boys people. And I think this is just going to transcend into the ring, into what is going to be a great and historic night of boxing. And I want to thank these guys for allowing me to be part of that great historic event. And thank everybody here for supporting us and supporting these 2 great fighters. Thank you very much.
That was a great speech also. But Russ, I thought
now in French?
I thought in the first minute that you weren't Bernard's side, but it's okay.